The fourth season of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch reaches its intellectual and scientific peak in episodes 11 and 12, where theories once considered fringe are tested under rigorous, instrumented conditions. No longer content with mere anecdotes or folklore, the investigative team brings physics, engineering, and aerospace technology into a landscape long haunted by myth. What they find at the so-called Triangle Challenge is not only their understanding of natural laws, but also the boundaries of human perception itself. 1. From myth to measurement. Skinwalker Ranch, located in Utah's Uinta Basin, has for decades been the epicenter of stories involving glowing spheres, mutilated cattle, and inexplicable electromagnetic interference. While these accounts were once confined to tabloids and oral legends, they have now become data points in a controlled scientific environment. Dr. Travis Taylor, a physicist and aerospace engineer with government security clearance, leads a multidisciplinary team attempting to quantify the unknown. In previous experiments, rockets launched above a specific area of the ranch would repeatedly alter trajectory or detonate at a fixed altitude, 31 feet. The precision of this recurrence is statistically abnormal. In classical physics, such consistency would suggest the presence of a dense object or field, but no solid body was ever detected on radar, infrared, or visual instruments. This led the team to propose a radical hypothesis that a localized space-time anomaly may exist above the triangle. Or 2. The 31-foot anomaly repetition as evidence. Repetition is the cornerstone of the scientific method. In episode 11, the team revisits the site, firing rockets and monitoring them with high-speed cameras and spectrum analyzers. Once again, at precisely the same altitude, a sudden deviation occurs. The rocket's path bends, then explodes in midair. The coincidence is too perfect to ignore. Taylor and his colleague Eric Bard consider gravitational lensing or plasma interference, but neither theory fits the observed parameters. Atmospheric density is insufficient to alter trajectory so abruptly, and there are no temperature inversions capable of producing such an effect. The only remaining explanation is that some form of energy gradient exists a region in which electromagnetic gravitational or quantum fields behave non-linearly. In more speculative terms, it could be what physicists call a localized warp metric, a bubble where space itself curves. Although such structures are theoretical, akin to the geometry described in general relativity around black holes or wormholes, the behavior of light, flame, and radio signals near the triangle appears consistent with those predictions. 3. Testing the field, electricity, and fire. To probe the invisible zone, the team employs 2 instruments, a handheld Tesla coil generating over 600 volts and a flamethrower reaching 200,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The idea is to excite the local environment with heat and electromagnetic charge, provoking a response if the anomaly interacts with energy. Initially, nothing visible occurs. Yet upon reviewing slow-motion footage, they discover a remarkable event. The flame from the torch splits in 2 midair, as if colliding with a transparent barrier. The bifurcation is symmetrical, not random. Infrared imagery confirms a distinct void, a region where the thermal signature abruptly disappears. Taylor suggests the flame might have consumed local oxygen, creating a pressure pocket, but the persistence and shape of the gap contradict that hypothesis. Moreover, a luminous orb appears in several frames, moving independently of the flame. It accelerates, stops, and vanishes in less than a second. The optical path implies that it is reflecting or emitting its own light, not merely refracting. This event becomes the second instance of measurable physical interaction at 31 feet. 2-4. Temporal distortions and the quarter-second shift. Earlier in the season, time shift anomalies were recorded using radar balloons, tiny discrepancies of 1/4 second between synchronized clocks at ground level and in the air. According to Einstein's general relativity, such temporal offsets can occur near massive gravitational wells or within regions where space-time curvature fluctuates. No known geological or atmospheric mechanism in Utah could cause this. If the 31-foot zone produces similar effects, it could represent a micro-scale gravitational distortion. While extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, the precision of these measurements raises questions that mainstream physics cannot easily dismiss. The ranch may not harbor a literal wormhole, but the data suggest a standing wave or interference pattern in the planet's magnetic field, perhaps the result of geological composition, underground voids, or exotic plasma behavior. Task 5. Enter Omnitech military-grade investigation. To push the boundaries further, the team partners with Omnitech, a defense contractor specializing in signal intelligence and electronic warfare. Jay Stratton, former head of the Pentagon's UAP task force, joins the investigation, bringing credibility and access to advanced instrumentation. Their goal is to test whether the anomaly interferes with electromagnetic communication, particularly with satellite signals. Using high-power antennas, they lock onto the International Space Station's continuous transmission as it passes overhead. The connection should remain stable for 8 minutes. Yet exactly as the ISS crosses above the triangle, the signal disappears. Simultaneously, every computer in the command trailer crashes. GPS coordinates fluctuate violently. When systems reboot an unfamiliar frequency, 1.65 gigahertz appears steady and strong. This same frequency has been detected during multiple UAP events over the years, and it lies outside the range commonly used for terrestrial transmissions. Its persistence suggests a beacon-like source. 6. The LiDAR revelation, seeing the invisible. The Omnitech team then activates a high-resolution LiDAR system firing laser pulses through the anomalous zone. LiDAR, which measures distances by timing reflected light, is immune to most electromagnetic interference. What it records defies explanation: a perfect circular void surrounded by a ring of intense reflectivity, forming a bullseye pattern at exactly 31 feet. In standard scans, red indicates high reflectivity, while black means zero return light absorbed or deflected. The black region here is not noise. It has crisp, defined edges. Physicist Eric Bard models the data and realizes the shape corresponds to a double cone structure, two funnels joined at their narrow ends, one pointing upward, the other down. In theoretical physics, that is precisely the geometry of a traversable wormhole. While the data alone cannot confirm such an extraordinary hypothesis, it does confirm that light behaves abnormally in that region. The LiDAR's photons vanish, suggesting absorption by a field or redirection by refraction, just as stealth aircraft scatter radar signals. Whether this black spot represents matter plasma or warped space remains unknown, but it is undeniably real in measurement. Fear 7. The psychological dimension fear as a data point. When instruments fail, the human body becomes an unwilling sensor. During an aerial test above the Triangle pilot, Cameron Fugel reports multiple glowing objects moving near his helicopter, visible only through military-grade night vision. Moments later, everyone on board feels intense chest pressure, panic, and disorientation. The sensation is collective and sudden fading once they descend. Physiologically, such symptoms resemble exposure to infrasound high-intensity magnetic fields or ionized air. These effects have been documented near seismic fault lines and powerful radio transmitters. Yet the field strength required to induce that reaction would be enormous. If the anomaly emits bursts of electromagnetic energy at the moment of manifestation, it could explain both the bodily symptoms and the instrument malfunctions. The team's experience echoes reports from earlier government researchers at the ranch who described similar waves of dread coinciding with UAP activity. Rather than dismissing these as psychological, the investigators now treat them as part of the phenomenon's profile, a measurable bioelectromagnetic interaction between environment and observer. 8. Military surveillance observation or containment. Shortly after the LiDAR experiment, two unmarked Chinook helicopters appear circling low over the ranch. Their flight paths are absent from FAA tracking systems. Attorney General Sean Reyes, a longtime supporter of the project, confirms no official military exercise was scheduled. The coincidence is unsettling. If government agencies are indeed monitoring the experiments, it may indicate awareness of phenomena extending beyond public disclosure. This raises another layer of interpretation: Skinwalker Ranch as a controlled observation site, perhaps even an unintentional laboratory where both independent scientists and classified programs study the same anomaly. For the civilian team, such possibilities amplify the sense of urgency and caution. What if the portal is already known to higher authorities? 9. The orange orb and the mesa. In a subsequent rocket test, an orange sphere appears in the western sky. It maneuvers intelligently, accelerating, turning, then vanishing abruptly. Spectrum analyzers record spikes across multiple bands. When video footage from the helicopter is reviewed, the orb seems to descend into the mesa, disappearing precisely above a spiral of stones and ancient petroglyphs carved by native peoples centuries ago. These carvings, often interpreted as representations of gateways or cosmic paths, now appear eerily literal. Later frames show a bright flash emerging from the same spot, suggesting that the orb exited the mesa. If accurate, this could represent matter-energy transfer through solid rock, an impossibility under conventional physics. The phenomenon might involve transient plasma or tunneling radiation forms of energy capable of interacting with materials at subatomic scales. 10. Towards a theoretical framework. Piecing together all the evidence, the consistent altitude anomaly, time distortions, electromagnetic interference, and psychological effects, the investigators proposed several models. Localized electromagnetic vortex. The Earth's crust below the triangle may contain magnetic minerals forming a natural coil. When solar or geomagnetic activity interacts with this structure, it could generate rotating plasma fields, altering electromagnetic properties in a confined zone. Standing wave resonance. The repeated 31-foot height may correspond to a harmonic node between ground and atmospheric layers. Electromagnetic waves reflecting between the surface and ionosphere can create stable interference patterns. Such nodes could bend light and disturb instruments. Artificial or extraterrestrial technology. Given the precision and persistence of the signals, some team members entertain the possibility of an engineered device, perhaps an ancient or hidden mechanism buried beneath the mesa, capable of manipulating energy fields. The 1.6 gigahertz beacon could be part of its operation. Micro-wormhole hypothesis. The most speculative yet increasingly discussed explanation suggests that the triangle hosts a transient wormhole, a tunnel connecting different points in space-time. The LiDAR's void, shaped like twin funnels, supports this geometry. The quarter-second time shifts might represent the wormhole's boundary conditions. While mainstream science remains skeptical, the accumulation of measurable anomalies warrants continued investigation. Even if the portal interpretation proves symbolic, the underlying physics could reveal new insights into plasma dynamics, magnetogravitational coupling, or atmospheric electromagnetism. 11. The human equation rationality in the face of the unknown. What distinguishes Skinwalker Ranch from other UFO legends is the persistence of scientific discipline amid mystery. Rather than descending into superstition, the team records quantifies and debates. They invite skeptics, military experts, and government officials, subjecting their findings to scrutiny. The result is not a proof of aliens, but a living case study in the philosophy of science, how humans confront data that defy paradigms. Dr. Taylor's approach mirrors that of early 20th century pioneers who faced unexplained phenomena like X-rays or radioactivity. The first step is not belief, but measurement, not fear, but curiosity. Each anomaly flame split rocket deviation electromagnetic pulse is treated as a clue, not a miracle. 12. Conclusion. The frontier of empirical mystery. As Season 4 concludes, the team acknowledges both triumph and limitation. They have confirmed that measurable, repeatable anomalies exist over the triangle, optical, electromagnetic, and possibly gravitational. Yet they cannot define their cause. In science, such indeterminacy is not failure but frontier. The discovery of ignorance is the birth of knowledge. The Skinwalker Ranch phenomenon, once relegated to folklore, now occupies a strange intersection between physics and metaphysics. Whether the blob represents a wormhole, a natural plasma field, or an echo of something older than civilization, it demands humility. For the scientists, the quest continues not to prove the paranormal, but to expand the boundaries of what the word normal can contain.